How about that fight last night, Jeff?
I fell asleep. I fell
Well,
asleep.
welcome
So
everyone. Yeah,
did you watch it? Did you watch the
I
Tyson
did. I did.
Paul
I
fight?
so I wanted to watch the undercard. The women's fight was really good. Be right before it, although
Hmm.
I think controversial finish. Um,
Hmm.
I didn't really care about the main fight. I think there was no winner to be had, regardless of
I
what
did.
happened.
I did remember the tagline from one of the Alien versus Predator movies. That was "Whoever wins, we lose," and that's kind of what I
Exactly.
went with.
Exactly. Uh, so for those that may not know what we're talking about, uh, last night Netflix hosted their I think it's like their first boxing live event.
Yeah,
Well, and I say hosted very loosely.
it
They
was a
had the
nightmare.
yeah, they had the Mike Tyson Paul. Which Paul is it? Jake
Jake,
Paul?
Jake.
I don't know. One of the Pauls. The Paul that I guess I want to say the Paul that's a boxer, but I guess they both boxed before. The one that's not a wrestler. How
The
about
one
that?
that's not a wrestler. How about that? Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
like.
And I mean, going into it, I was like, this is dumb. Like, there's only two scenarios, right? Uh, like either Mike Tyson just kills that dude right away, or oh yeah, wait, Mike Tyson is almost 60 years old.
Yeah, and
So
you're just watching
yeah,
a 20-something-year-old beat up a 60-year
that's
old
right.
something, which is
Um,
kind of what you ended up watching, I think.
yeah, I think they should have. Mike Tyson should have added one more rule because they changed the rules. They're like 2 minute rounds, 8 rounds, but then they also should have been tied to the waist, like by like a,
A
like
rope.
so they can stay close. Because that's all that was happening, right? This this young man, he's got energy. He's got to go in, pop him a few times. He took a few shots from Tyson, so obviously that can't,
Yeah,
that probably not easy. As Zach Galifianakis, how it feels to take a punch from Mike Tyson. Uh,
that's right.
that was for the hangover heads that are hanging out in the chat. So yeah, but I mean, it was pretty terrible experience as far as like just having to be able
Did
to watch it.
did you? How often did you stall out or buffer? I guess is.
So I didn't really start watching till the women's fight right before, and it was pretty bad even then. Uh, for some reason, Netflix would like whenever I would pop out and in, it would put me back at the spot where I left. So like then I started being behind, and I didn't know I was
Oh
behind
yeah, that
until I was
happened to
scrolling.
me. Yeah.
Yeah, I was scrolling on TikTok, and people were like streaming it live there, which is weird too because it's not like I don't know. I feel like at this point, who doesn't have Netflix? Um,
It is pretty pricey.
yeah, yeah. So I don't know. Eight. And then I just ended up moving to my iPad because I
Mm.
figured that would take less bandwidth. I don't know if that's true or not. Uh, but it did. It looked a little better. But it was still a lot of buffering, and not the ring announcer kind. Uh,
I was watching it. I was watching the women's match right before, uh, and I got to the end, and then they announced the controversial ending.
yeah,
I don't know anything about boxing. I haven't watched boxing in 25 years or what since last time Mike Tyson boxed.
yeah.
Um, and then they were doing the interviews, and I ended up falling asleep at that point. And then it must have buffered on me because when I came back, it was just some mumbo. Like when I woke up again, it was
Yeah.
just kind of like mumbo jumbo. Like they were in between matches, but I did the same thing you did. Like I was hopped on TikTok and saw people were watching it live. Realized I was not live myself. I must have dozed off for like 20 minutes or something.
Yeah.
And then I
It was
caught up
pretty
to it.
late.
I just got tired of listening to the one guy who was like, "Oh, Mike Tyson's definitely hurt. He keeps biting his glove," and then the other guy was just like, "He's always done that." And then the first guy
He
was like, "But he's biting his glove again."
Yeah. Mario Ronaldo, like you may have heard him a little while, but like he was a WWE announcer for a while, then he came back to NXT. I like
Mm-hmm.
him. The other announcer, I believe he was a boxer,
I
because
think it's
they
Roy
talked about.
or somebody Wood, something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, I'm not familiar with too many boxers outside of Rocky and Drago, really. Apollo Creed, of course. and his son Adonis.
Yeah,
Out of that,
that's it. That's it. That's all you
it's so
need.
well that I just it's so much easier for me to name fictional boxers.
Yeah, there's God, what's her name? Who was in the Clint Eastwood movie that busted her head?
Oh yeah,
Pretty.
I don't know
What's
the
that
name of
movie
that
called?
actual like the character. I don't know the name of the character.
I was just trying to remember the name of the movie.
Oh,
Anyway, I'm
Million
bogging
Dollar
down the
Baby.
show. Yeah, Million
Million
Dollar
Dollar,
Baby's a great boxer.
yeah, Million Dollar Baby, great boxer. But yeah, it
Uh,
was pretty wild. I think first of all, I didn't even realize it was here in Dallas.
yeah,
Well, in Dallas at the Cowboy Stadium. I guess it's good to see that somebody can still win there.
I do
Uh,
enjoy that. So there's been I know sports is a big crossover thing with comics and nerd stuff.
I know.
So the Cowboys have been playing awful. In the last game, our wide receiver CD Lamb missed a touchdown catch because the stadium has windows at the top, and the sun was at just such an angle that built the stadium so that when the sun sets, the sun comes straight through that window, and
Yeah.
it's facing one of the end zones. So he lost the ball in the sun.
Hey, here's a quick message for Jerry Jones. Hit us up. I know a guy. He'll tint those windows. It'll be like zero
So
dark
dark,
30 in there.
so
You
dark.
trust me. Trust me.
Yeah,
There's so many people in Dallas that can tint your windows, and you'll still be able to look outside. I don't know how it works. I don't know how tinting windows works, but it's like they can't see you from the inside, so the sun won't get in.
yeah.
Um,
It's perfect, Jerry. We have the
that's right.
technology.
I know.
But they
I
put up
know
curtains for the fight that happened at night, which everybody thought was real funny.
that.
So
Yeah, I feel like that was just somebody being like, "Hey, let's do a funny bit."
yeah.
So all right. Well, that's our sports corner. We didn't even. This is not even wrestling talk. Can you imagine when WWE goes to Netflix? Oh my
Well,
god.
that's what I was going to ask you. So they've had Netflix have had two live events. Now this one is arguably going to be much bigger than any Raw. I mean,
Yeah.
as popular as Raw is, this one had hundreds of millions of viewers. So I can understand where they get some buffering issues there. But they also have done their what's their dating reality show? They do live
Love is
versions.
Blind or one of those
Yeah, the Love
something
Is Blind
Island, Fuckboy Island,
reunions and
or
stuff like that. It was a Love Is Blind reunion show, and that
yeah,
had problems buffering too. So it kind of makes me a little worried about this WWE going to Raw and how consistent it's
yeah.
going to be. You know,
Now, does everyone watch Raw at the same time? That's what I wonder.
I would watch it live. I like watching things live if I get the
I'm
chance
a,
to.
I prefer live for sure, but Mondays is usually when I go play Star Wars at the shop. So like
Mm.
with this 2 hour change, it's actually been kind of nice because like I can get back around 9:30 or so, and while I'm doing stuff to get ready for the next day at work or for the channel, like I
Mm.
have Raw going on in the background, and then I can skip through uh, commercials and matches that I don't really care for or whatever, and
Basically, catch up by
can
the end.
yeah, I consume a Monday Night Raw, a 2 hour Raw. I can watch it all before having to go to bed in about
Yeah.
an hour or an hour and a half. Whereas the 3 hour Raw, like I would never finish it. I would always just end up watching the rest the next morning. So we'll see. We'll see. The Netflix era is coming. Um, so
And for me, it can't get here fast enough because I can't get live WWE anymore. They're not. It's
oh
not on
yeah, that's
Hulu,
right. That's right.
and everything is like where they do stream it. It's like 6 weeks behind, so it's terrible trying to
Yeah,
watch something that is.
which
Uh,
is weird because Hulu used to put it up next day when it was on Fox,
yeah,
even if it
and
was
then
a. I think it was a cut down version. Like it was a no. It was less. It was the commercials, and they would usually take out a match or something.
yeah, SmackDown was usually Raw. They would definitely cut because they used to put Raw on as well on Hulu. But once SmackDown left Fox, they pulled
Yeah,
Raw as well. And so, yeah, I mean, I can watch Raw, like I said, on Peacock, but again, it's like 6 weeks late, and I'm just like,
which
I don't want to
also
watch it
feels
then.
weird. Why would you not
Yeah,
want to let me watch it right away the next day? Like
hmm
everything else on your platform, Universal. I
exactly.
I can't think of another thing. Like I was watching the sitcoms from last night, this morning on Peacock. Like everything is on there next day,
Next day.
except for that. So I
Some weird
wonder.
contract shenanigans.
Let me call Triple H.
Yeah.
Papa H, what's going on? All right. Well, that's enough of sports. You're not here for sports. And if you are, I mean, thanks, I guess. But you're in the wrong place.
That was for you then.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
finally got your segment.
that's right. If not, you missed it. Uh,
Yeah.
we got a lot of stuff to cover today. Specifically, some of the Marvel stuff that came out in the D23 Brazil um, Expo last weekend. We got a few trailers that are pretty good over the weekend. So obviously, after we had done the show live, um, we got. I mean, there's reactions. But Jeff, did you watch? Let's start. I think it was Captain America first. The Brave New World.
Yeah, I think I
Maybe.
saw. Yeah, that one came out, dropped like it. I think I saw the. I think I actually saw the Thunderbolts trailer first, and
I think
then saw
Thunderbolts
the.
came out first. So let's start with that
Yeah,
one because first of all, using the toadies on your trailer, like that's pretty good.
that was a banger. Now, is this going to get? For the live audience, you're going to have a great time. For the other people, sorry, because I hear
That's
toadies
right.
are very difficult to get past the copyright police.
Oh yeah, yeah. Sorry, yeah, we're not watching any of the trailers. Sorry,
Oh,
specific.
okay. We're just talking
Yeah,
about.
no,
Okay,
no.
good.
Yeah,
Okay,
we'll.
good. I was like, are we going to watch them? No,
No,
yeah.
no, no.
So I really enjoyed. Now, okay, good. Then the gloves are off. I'm just going to talk about it. Then. I love the trailer. But Thunderbolts is actually my favorite trailer. Like I like that one more than
Yeah.
the Captain America one,
Okay.
Brave New World. That Toady song is a banger. It has a quirky kind of feel to it. I'm hoping this isn't one of those things where the trailer misleads me and it's whatever. But it kind of feels a little like I think I heard somebody say kind of like Guardians, and that it feels a little off-brand for what Marvel
Yeah.
normally puts out, but still kind of within that universe and still very fun. It's all these kind of outlier characters from the previous movies. I'm really
And
excited for
I know Red Guardian didn't exactly say what are we some kind of Suicide Squad, but he did
it.
say
Yeah.
he did say like Thunderbolts is a cool name. So he's definitely pushing for that. So I mean, we all know that infamous trailer for the Suicide Squad 2016 with Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah.
People love
Well,
that.
yeah, that's
So
true.
I mean, I don't mind the movie. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I enjoy it. But I can see why people would be like, "Oh no, is this a situation where it's a fun trailer and everything else is it just doesn't
Yeah.
work?" I don't think that's the case here. Um,
No, I don't either.
just because I mean, Red Guardian's a really fun character. Of course, White Widow. She's Florence Pugh is great. Bucky's back. Um, yeah, the only one I kind of feel bad for is the Taskmaster character.
Yeah. Yeah. Taskmaster and Ghost are definitely going to get lost in the shuffle.
Yeah,
I would assume Bob is, I'm sure Bob's going to be
Bob's gonna be a
fine.
superstar by the end of this
Yeah.
movie. Um,
Val is great. Val, like you got all these characters that do seem to work well off of one
yeah,
another. So
we have confirmed with this trailer and maybe the previous one, but this one for sure that Val purchased or somebody. I mean, they purchased the Avengers Tower.
yeah, they're in
Um,
Avengers Tower.
so that'll be fun to see. I just think that Taskmaster doesn't make it out of the Bob situation, because there's only like one shot where she's at Avengers Tower,
Mm-hmm.
but then it feels like she's not really moving and she's just kind of there. The pictures also feel like. Do you remember when they blurred out the Spider-Mans in,
Yeah. Uh huh.
in
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that trail, the No Way Home trailer? It feels like they did the opposite. They're like, "Oh, there's an empty spot there."
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, Leonard Kim, Bob's about to steal every scene. I think so.
I
Yeah,
agree.
so I'm very excited for that. Um, and I do feel very confident about my theory that the Thunderbolts will turn into a Dark Avengers by the end of the movie. Like that's what that kind of like what they did with the Falcon and the Winter Soldier that they retitled the series at the end. Um, I think it's going to be a similar situation where that Thunderbolts asterisk really like there'll be like a Dark Avengers thing or something like that.
I'm kind of curious if we don't see some kind of post-credit scene. If that is the case, where we get where, and I think a lot of people are theorizing Thunderbolts becomes Dark Avengers. If we don't get some kind of post-credit tease for a Young Avengers movie, because it looks like something that, I mean, Avengers Tower is definitely in New York. Something
Yeah,
definitely is probably going to go down in New York, and you do still have uh, uh, Kamala Khan, and like that's how the Marvels ended with
yeah,
Kamala and Hawkeye hooking up, kind of, sort of, and they're wandering around New York somewhere. So like, I'm kind of looking forward. Well, I'm kind of hoping that they do a thing where something big happens in New York. More people that are superheroes that live in New York show up to be like, hey, what's going on?
yeah. They could definitely just add the Thunderbolt, the Dark Avengers, to the end of it,
Yeah.
because obviously you would want to advertise yourself as something else, but the implication there, it's there. So that'd be interesting. That's kind of what they did in the comics, right? They would present themselves as either the Thunderbolts or just the new Avengers, I believe, for a little while while they were
Yeah, they called
under.
them Avengers, I think,
Yeah,
when Norman Osborn took over.
no, yeah, with the hammer and all that. So very similar situation there. But yeah, that was fun. I like that. I love Red Guardian, like fangirling over Bucky.
Yeah.
Um, so that dynamic's gonna be fun. And then of course, U.S. Agent already has a pre-built-in relationship with Bucky as well. So,
Hmm.
but this movie comes out after Captain America: Brave New World, in which we will also see Bucky, who seems to be a representative in the House of Representatives at the time. So how does he get from where we left him off in Falcon and Winter Soldier, or Captain and Winter Soldier, to Brave New World to Thunderbolts? Like it feels like he's all over the place. Um,
Also, who's I mean, I know we live in weird times in reality, but I guess, you know what, I'm gonna take back my musing, because it was just like, who would elect somebody who is a former Russian Soviet sleeper agent to the Congress of the United States? But
I mean, I don't think the
this is my
majority
I
of
don't
the
know.
people. I don't think majority of the people are like fully aware of his war crimes. Also, that's
But I
probably
mean,
not a deterrent.
he was a front newspaper guy in
Yeah.
Civil
Oh,
War.
and
Like, people were
that's right.
like, this guy
Well,
blew up
his
the
name
king
was
of
cleared, I
Wakanda.
would think, after Baron Zemo was revealed to be the guy behind it, right?
I guess so. I don't know. I'm gonna need to see how this played out. Give me one of
Also,
those little Marvel mini movies that they used to do. Those
and
little
all this is as political as we'll get. Obviously, apparently, being a criminal does not stop you from
yeah, that's
winning an
exactly what I'm
election.
saying.
So there
I'm
we
just
go. Yeah. So I mean, that's really I think it's gonna be an interesting movie, just because there's a lot of. Anytime I see anything about like people in the White House or like president political stuff, it's a little bit different now because things are written in a way that you kind of expect them to see them, but obviously the real world is a lot different. So yeah, we'll talk about that more when we get into our previously on, because I've been watching a show on Netflix. But we get our first real cool glimpse of the Red Hulk. Like
Mhm.
he's really out there. I think we even see him kind of like not turning the whole way, but like we see Harrison
Catch
Ford like
glimpses.
jittering, and
Yeah,
which I need to see some what's it called, some backstage footage of that, or
little
like
behind the
just behind the
scenes.
scenes
Get
of
those
like
DVD extras going.
that's right, just Harrison Ford twitching around, or maybe they had a he's like, they never asked
uh,
me to do this dumb stuff in Star Wars.
yeah, yeah. I bet he's loving it. Uh, I do like the way this trailer, the Brave New World trailer, was cut.
Oh yeah,
Completely different from the Thunderbolts trailer, but this is
yeah,
laying heavily into the political suspense thriller. I
Yeah.
kind of want to go back and watch some of those early Winter Soldier trailers to see, because I remember that kind of had the same vibe, but this one goes all in with like split screens and stuff like
Oh
that.
yeah,
And you get
yeah. Like I
the
love
ticking
that.
clock in the background. Yeah, it goes heavy into the this is a political thriller first and foremost, and then oh, Red Hulk,
I
here you go.
I love the split screen. There's one shot of like Harrison Ford on one half and then Sam on the other half.
Hmm.
And I'm like, oh man, that looks so good. And then yeah, like I said, the tick tick. I think my only concern is that we won't get any if any like I don't think we're gonna get any Seth Rollins or the other Serpent Society members.
Oh yeah, it doesn't look
I
like that.
feel like they pivoted pretty hard into making it a little bit more grounded with Giancarlo Esposito as
Hmm.
what's his name of his character? I forget. I know they
It's the
revealed
head
it.
of the Serpent Society,
Yeah,
Copperhead or something like that. I don't remember
yeah, I
which one he
think
is.
so.
King
Um,
Cobra or whatever.
yeah, something like that. But so that'll be interesting to see because I mean Seth Rollins missed out. I remember seeing the pictures of him in the costume, and I was like, oh, that's cool. Um, and but I guess we'll see if he does press for it next year. That might reveal how involved he really is. This movie's coming out Valentine's Day of next year, um, which is what a great time. I mean, we had Madam Web this year for that, and I think that really made a special day for a lot of people. But Brave New
so
World on
so
Valentine's Day.
so if Seth Rollins gets hurt like at Survivor Series, then we know he's in the movie because he's going to go on tour for
Yeah.
with the movie.
After the Rumble, he goes off.
Yeah, yeah. If he
Oh
takes a
man.
headshot to with a chair, then you know we're going to see some Seth Rollins and Cap.
Yeah, I know you. So, quick tangent here. So, do you know anything about what happened on SmackDown last night?
Not last night yet. No, I
Okay.
know that
There's like,
like weeks. I know like last week or a couple of weeks ago, Kevin
yeah,
Owens gave Randy Orton the pile driver.
yeah. So
Uh,
they're setting up the war games, and it's gonna be the Bloodline versus the New Bloodline. And people thought there was gonna be a 4-4 because there's really already 4 people on each side. But the New Bloodline got a new member yesterday, or at least somebody
oh,
that's gonna
really?
be helping them, and that is a one and only Bronson Reed.
Oh, wow.
Which
So
because they were both at
Seth,
Monday, they're recruiting on Monday, and we saw Seth Rollins turn them both down very, very emphatically. But I think Bronson Reed and Seth Rollins have been feuding.
yeah.
Uh,
Well, and
and
because I did see a clip that WWE posted somewhere where Seth Rollins was like, because Sammy had gone to Seth and he
yeah,
was like, you know, blah, blah, and Sammy's like, listen, I'm not working with Roman Reigns ever again because of that
ever
Shield
again.
history. And
I think
so it does make sense. Yeah, we have to if they put them back together. That's great. I
we
think
might
that's
have
great.
a Randy late arrival type of situation in War Games. I hope they don't even reveal it. I just let it happen in War Games so we can get that big pop of Seth Rollins
That's
coming
what's
in.
the most interesting for me during this part of like, so like I said, I can't watch anything weekly, but I can still
Yeah,
watch the PLEs because they're on Peacock.
yeah,
So like I watch the PLEs and be like, okay, I kind of know what's going on, you know, but it's not that it's
yeah.
that hard to
It's
catch
such a
up.
hassle because like they put a lot of the highlights on YouTube, but it's just not the
Yeah.
same.
Yeah, it's
Um,
not the same.
so that'll be interesting. The last thing is I will say that next Raw is already recorded, so I haven't looked at any
Mm.
spoilers. Because Triple H wanted to give wrestlers to get some time off, which is weird because that's not Thanksgiving week. But okay, like we're gonna do it the week before Thanksgiving. Don't get excited, guys. You will still not get to spend time with your
It's so you can
family.
get Christmas shopping out of the way, you know?
I guess so. I guess so. Um, Oh, and the one last thing is Roman Reigns finally call the wise man, but the wise man's
Oh,
phone's been disconnected. So that was such a
no.
weird, it was such a fun thing to end it on. Like you just hear this phone number has been disconnected or something. So like you can't even get a hold of the wise man anymore.
I hope they find him in a ditch like ET. He's just like
Oh
on
my
the ground
god.
and they have to nurse him back to health.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
not
got
dead.
really
ET
dark.
didn't die in the ditch. He was just
I
weirdly
guess it's been a while
dehydrated.
since I saw the movie. But I guess yeah, you're right. They went back home. So all right. back to Marvel shenanigans. Anything else on the Winter Soldier and the Brave New World? God, I hope it's as good as Winter Soldier because that's my favorite movie. I would love that.
I really hope it's really good. I mean, I hear they went through a lot of reshoots
Yeah,
and stuff, so I really hope that they fixed it. I mean, for just because I love the Captain America Marvel movies,
yeah.
but for Sam Mackie too, because he gets a lot of he gets a lot of
Anthony
shit because he's a
Mackie.
black because he's Black Captain America and he's not Steve Rogers.
Yeah,
I see a lot of that on there was like so many dumb complaints about how he used like how does the shield like explode the missiles and whatever, and I'm just like, you've had 3 movies of that shield acting like how Captain America's shield always acts. It's
yeah.
a knife when it needs to be. It's a dull thing when it needs to be. Like,
Did you
yeah,
not watch him practice in the
yeah,
Falcon Winter Soldier
in the
show?
Winter Soldier, yeah,
Mm.
it's not going to ever cut off his hand, but it will
Fake
cut off villains'
fans.
hands.
Fake fan. Well, I don't know. If Wanda throws it hard enough, it will cut you in half. Apparently,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, see,
maybe that was
it's
the
all about how
British
you use
version.
it.
The British version.
You have
Um,
to. One side of the shield has really sharp. You just have to know which one it is.
yeah. All right, we were gonna talk about What If season 3, but Jeff hasn't watched that trailer. So what we're gonna do is, just in case the copyright stuff, we're gonna watch that at the end of the show. So stay tuned. There's a lot of really fun stuff. Some of it you might have already seen on social media, Jeff, but it's a pretty fun trailer. I think there's gonna be some really cool What If episodes. So with that out of the way, let's move on to. You want to talk a little GI Joe #1?
Oh, I love GI Joe.
So let's start there. That's a good place to start, Jeff. Give us a little bit of your history with GI Joe as a franchise.
Well, so I'm old enough to remember. Well, I'm not old enough to remember the initial GI Joe, like big Barbie doll GI Joes that they used to have, but the cartoons in the '80s. I am that exact age. I grew up watching GI Joe. Had a bunch of the toys growing up, uh, and then yeah, I've not watched everything that has come out since then. So like GI Joe Resolute, the cartoon, anything past the first gen GI Joe stuff, I'm kind of loosey goosey on. I read some of the Marvel comics. That's still that initial run is still going today, which is pretty
Yeah,
impressive. Uh, Having left Marvel and gone through several different publishing companies.
yeah.
Um, I watched the live action movies. I know they're awful, but I don't hate them. Uh,
I also
and
don't love them. I wish I was
I
feeling.
don't love them. They kind of fall in the same category as Matthew Broderick's Godzilla, which is like this weird anomaly of movie that is not good, but I will watch for a little bit if it's on television.
Do you like the first one better or the second one? Do you remember?
The first one better.
Okay, so you don't like when they actually introduce like The Rock and Bruce Willis. You're
It's well, I like the
you're
first
a
one
Channing
better.
Tatum guy.
I'm a Channing Tatum, Joseph Gordon-Levitt guy. So that's what it.
Um,
When you hire Joseph Gordon-Levitt and you then cover his
so
face and make him do a weird voice at the end of the movie,
I don't think that anybody made him do anything. I feel like that was a choice that he made himself.
he could have been.
Um, just want to throw that out
Uh,
there.
the first one is silly. The second one, I think, is sillier, but in a different way.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just a little. It was the first one's the first. The second one feels like, oh, we need to macho this up a little bit more.
Well, I mean, that was back then when they were just throwing The Rock into movies to like butch him up or whatever. So
Yeah. So
definitely,
that's why the second one I'm just like, it's a little like, this is too. It's jumped the
yeah,
shark into too hokey for me. The first one
jump The
was
Rock.
just jump the rock.
No,
So
excited for
I
Red
like the
One though,
first one.
right? We're watching Red One right after this.
Oh yeah, 100%. That is put the rock in every movie. Listen, if every
God.
movie could have a Zack Snyder rock cut,
Oh, hold on a second.
100%.
Now I'm sold. Now I'm fully in.
Give me a Sophie's Choice with The Rock and directed by Zack Snyder.
Can we get another Zack Snyder's Justice League where we add Black Adam into the movie
Yeah,
as portrayed by The Rock?
100%. I think we
Like
should.
he's just in the background of everything for some reason, but he didn't do anything. But he never meets Superman right until his movie. So
Yeah. He's just like, it's just him scoping it out, seeing what it's like.
yeah. All right. Well, this week, and Jeff, I imagine you went to the shop already and picked up your actual book. Uh, but we're gonna talk about yeah. Oh,
Like,
interesting. So you picked
I picked up, there's this one.
I so funny. That's funny. This is really telling of us because I also picked up. First of all, Titan Comics had this. Is yours the little like foil matte
No,
variant,
this
or
is
is
just
it
the
just a regular?
regular A
So
cover.
I don't know if you can see. This is like some kind of metallic sheen to it,
Oh yeah, yeah, that's cool.
which Titan had. It's really cool because it's unlike the normal foil. It's not blinding, but it still looks cool. But
It's like a semi
interestingly enough,
gloss.
I also picked up one of the very. I mean, I'm a teenage boy at heart, so I also picked up one of these variants. But I picked up the bad guys variant. This is what's her name? Chameleon, I think she's I don't know if she's the new
Yeah,
character, but I just met her in Destro. But you picked up the Baroness variant,
I picked up the Baroness
uh,
variant.
who in this issue, and spoilers, we're going to spoilers for issue 1. And if you haven't been reading, she's one of the Joes
Yeah,
where I don't. She's usually a bad guy, if I'm not mistaken. Um,
she is usually a bad guy. She is she's still the same character. She's still Baroness, Contessa, whatever, blah 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 blah. So the same character, still the same. She's basically uh, a for hire assassin sort of person,
okay,
sort of
okay.
operative.
She's
So
kind
the
of
United
like
States,
what the Black Widows would be
yeah,
if they
sort of.
never if she never became like an Avenger, like if she
Right,
just
right, right.
doing Black Widow stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah. She's sort of like a Black Widow, but without the organization of a Black Widows where they come
Right,
from. She's just kind of a solo operative.
right. So we're gonna talk about, like I said, full spoilers for GI Joe #1. This is a new book. We were gonna talk about it last weekend, but we ran out of time. Because we really did a lot. Like that 1990s movie thing really took us for a while. So, but yeah, let me pull up the creative team before we get into all this. This is written by Joshua Williamson, who had been doing the Duke series and the Cobra Commander series, if I'm not mistaken. With art by Tom Riley, who was also doing the Duke series. Jordi Belair on colors, letters by Rose Wooten. And then if you see here, this cover support, these are all the artists and the art teams that did variant covers for this. So you could
So many covers.
so many
And in
variant
fact,
covers.
I have no idea who this cover artist is. I was just like, oh, I like this cover. And I was
Uh
trying I was like, this kind of looks like, and I'm not as good at knowing artists from their artwork as I used to be. They all kind of like, there's too many of them now. And I was like, is
yeah.
this Tula Lote? I can't remember what her artwork looks like. And so I was like trying to
No.
match up the names because I'm like, I've seen this artist before, but I have no idea who it is.
So I picked up the Jenny Frison cover. I knew I I also looked I picked up a bunch of covers. We'll see them when we talk about comics. But that was really funny because when you pulled yours, I was like, oh, that's funny that we both got the main cover, and then one of the
Yeah.
covers with the hot girls, right?
With the hot
Because that's how
girls, you
you
gotta
sell
go hot
comics.
girl. Yeah.
That's how you sell
You know.
comics. You sell them with a side of cheesecake. Um,
I
so
mean,
in this
she's taking off
issue,
her glasses. Like, what more do
I
you want
mean,
out of the Baroness?
I mean,
What more
come
do you
on.
want?
Or she's putting them back on.
Or she's putting them back on.
That's right. Either way,
Safety first.
that's right. Either way. So in this issue, we meet the Joes. We meet most of them. There's one that is in the cover who seems to be a little bit separate from the group as of now. And then, like I mentioned, we're gonna go full spoilers. Tragedy does strike the team towards the end of the issue, so we'll talk about that in a second. But what did you think of the book overall? Just first thoughts.
I thought it was great. So there have been 4 series that have led up to this.
Yeah,
Duke, Cobra Commander, Destro, and Scarlet. Scarlet is not even
yeah.
in this issue at
She's
all.
not
Sure.
yet.
In fact, nothing in this in her little book has anything to do with this really.
Yeah,
Um, it's but even though there's those 4 previous series, this book you can read blind, like you can read go in with having not read any of that other stuff. This
Yeah.
covers kind of everything that happens up until this point, and as far as the GI Joes are concerned, for the entire Energon universe, because this also incorporates some Transformers stuff as
Oh
well.
yeah.
I think they do a great job of breaking down. It's a for those that are older Joes fans, you know the Joes are there's like 180 people on the GI Joe squad. This one is
Yep.
a much smaller squad. There's only like 5 of them so far. They're still kind of building, and they've got a lot of these characters that they're just kind of spread out throughout the globe right now. So this is definitely kind of an origin to the GI Joe where they're pulling these members together, and you're kind of seeing the first iteration of this GI Joe team. Uh,
Yes.
I like that they're not the GI Joe that we know. They're like American, like they're behind everybody else as far as technology goes. As far as because their main adversary again is Cobra. Cobra has all these high tech weapons, and the Joes are just using old school stuff, and they're just like they have no budget. It's kind of a ragtag group of these soldiers on this secret mission kind of thing,
Yeah.
and they're like woefully out budgeted and out armored and out all kinds of stuff. It's a fun comic. It's definitely a fun comic.
For
And
sure.
Tom Riley's artwork is great. It's very reminiscent of oh gosh, I can't think of his name. It's very clean, very cartoony, but very clean, but not super cartoony. If that makes sense.
Yeah. No, you can see here a little bit of that. I got a few pages that we can show. I love this. Like I could hear the Joe music playing during this introduction montage of like we got rock and roll. He's Craig S. McConnell, specializes in heavy artillery. Like like I could hear
Yeah,
that as I was going through the whole thing, and then it's really funny. And then we have the Baroness, right? So it's
yeah, and
rock
she's
and
funny.
roll, Stalker, Cover Girl, Clutch, Baroness, and of course Duke. Um, which is like just a really fun team. Like everybody has their own little specialty. I Is CoverGirl a new character for this as well?
No, she's been around for a bit. She was kind of a
Okay,
second or third generation from that first grouping of
gotcha.
toys.
So I think because they mentioned in the synopsis that there is a new character, and I think it's this guy. I forget his name, but oh here, what am I doing? Why can't I could just
The guy in the
zoom back.
suit.
Yeah, the guy in the suit. I think we do get to see his origin, but he's not with the Joes just quite yet. Um,
Yeah, I thought that
but
that was going to be Falcon,
okay,
who is Duke's cousin of some sort, or second or nephew, or I forget what they are. They're like half brothers. That's what they are.
yeah. I love too the I think Jordi Belair does such a good job with the colors. Like this is one of the
Oh
fight
yeah,
scenes I was talking about, and it's like it's just these little washes of. First of all, the choice of purple and yellow, it's great because those are usually colors reserved for the villains, right? The
mm-hmm.
primary colors are usually reserved for heroes. So it tells you immediately, like, yeah, this guy's probably going to be a Joe, but he's also in a more nebulous area. He's not a true hero, if you
He
will.
plays by his own rules.
That's right. Um, so that was really cool. And then, yeah, as the Joes get into the first mission, I love how far ahead of everything Cobra Commander is. Like, he's just on top of it.
Yeah,
Uh, So, man, they make it really hard not to root for the bad guys because they're so cool.
and it's
Probably,
also fun that if you have been again, if, you don't need to have been reading along this whole
yeah,
time, but if you haven't, obviously it definitely enriches the whole thing. The thing that's
yeah,
fun about this Cobra grouping, which I don't think I'd necessarily caught when I was watching the cartoons or any of the other things, is that it's really just a loose conglomeration of a bunch of bad guys. It's not an
yeah,
organized organization at all. It's just these individuals that have all these specific interests that are currently aligning, but it does lead to a lot of fun tension between the
hmm
bad guys and the bad guys group, which is kind of something similar that they're starting over in the Transformers side of things too. Because when we get to our weekly pickups, one of
Yeah.
the books from this week was Transformers, and you're just seeing these pockets of Decepticon groups kind of popping up
Mhm.
along. So it's really it's a well crafted universe that they're creating over
Mhm.
there at Skybound.
Yep, I agree. I really love that idea of we have a common goal, but we're the bad guys. We don't have friends. These are not our friends. These are, and even with the Joes, like, I mean, I think a lot of them do serve a purpose, and they kind of came together under Duke, but obviously they don't. Not on if
Yeah,
everybody wants to be there,
these
or
guys are
at least,
definitely not country first. They're kind of like we're just
yeah,
yeah
and it's and for a big reason, because if you read the Duke series, like it feels like their country's kind of thrown them aside
yeah
for a lot of them, right? So I like that idea of like, oh, we're doing this for the good of everyone, not necessarily because we're being sent out on this mission. Very similar to like
right
the conversation that the Avengers were having on the Civil War movie. Like, we are a force for good, not so much a weapon of like the United Nations or whatever the case may be. So
yeah. I mean,
uh,
and Duke's motivation this whole time has been revenge, really, because his
yeah, that's
one of
true.
his he's trying to get down to the because he's introduced as a character who in Transformers who runs into one of the stars like the air
Mhm.
I forget what they call them the Starscream bunch of planes of Decepticons and his friend gets killed. And so this whole time he's just been on a revenge tour. He's like, who are these robots? Why is the government covering them up? I'm going to
Yeah.
figure this out.
And we see that in the first two panels, like Joshua Williamson kind of, or the first panel reminds us. You see Starscream here in the
Yeah,
visor, and I was like, oh, it's so good. Like this is it's just a really fun way to like tell the story. Where if you've been reading, you get a lot out of it. If you haven't been reading, you kind of even what's going on, but you also wonder like, should I go back and read all those things, right?
yeah, exactly.
Um,
Yeah,
And yes, you should go back and read Transformers. It's fantastic. It's getting a 10th printing in December, so it's gonna have that nice little skybound gold foil that Void Rivals got. I hope all the books actually get one of those because I would love to have a collection of that. Since
that'd
I
be
was able to
fun.
pick up that first Void Rivals one. Um,
You said something earlier that stuck with me. That you could hear the theme song as you were reading it.
yeah.
I could also hear it. I could also hear like the voice actor. Like anytime Duke was saying something, I would hear the voice actor in my head,
Oh,
especially
that's
with the
fun.
Baroness as well. The Baroness, that kind of that 80s Eastern European kind of high shrill voice, whoever that voice actor was. I
Yeah,
read Baroness's words in that tone. This is just cake for me, honestly. Love it.
it's really fun. I think this book though, I like that they kind of make you also feel like maybe not everyone is safe.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Right? Because, and this is the big spoiler, like at the end of it, when the Joes go to stop, well, they get attacked by Cobra, and Cobra's got like these energon weapons. They both go to the same place, right, for the mission, and
Yeah,
Cobra's got these energon weapons, whereas the Joes, like Jeff mentioned, they're heavily underarmed, and what's his name? Rock and roll, right?
does rock and roll? Yeah, I think it's rock and roll.
Yeah, rock and roll gets pretty much, yeah, rock and roll. He gets obliterated by the energon weapon, which is heartbreaking. So also, if you didn't see the full cover with the Joes and Cobra, I mean
That's
that's
cool
great
stuff.
stuff. So yeah, I really like this. I think this is my actual first GI Joe book that I've ever read. Now that I
I was
think
going to
about it,
ask
like
you,
the
what is your
Michael,
history of GI Joe?
not a lot. The first thing I probably watched, I'm sure I saw some reruns of the cartoon when I was a kid, but I never was like, oh yeah, it's time to go watch GI Joe, right? Um, I A lot of it comes from it's either the films or Robot Chicken making
Okay.
making parody of the Joes. Uh, but yeah, I think the
you,
film is definitely the most.
I should do a list because those original cartoons have some insane
Yeah.
episodes. A lot of that stuff was written by a lot of Marvel Comics writers,
Uh
and
huh.
there's
Uh-huh.
a few episodes where they go to alternate dimensions. There's one where I forget his name, the seaboat guy gets kind of catfished into
That's
imagining
what.
this whole made up life that he had. There are crazy episodes that I should sit down and make a list and be like, you guys have got to watch these. We need to talk
All
about
right,
this.
that might be a fun thing to like revisit later
Yeah.
on. I
Yeah.
haven't even read. Tom Scioli did a series called Transformers with GIJoe, which is very heavily praised by a lot of people. So I want to check
It's
that
a
out
good.
as well.
I have. I think most of those issues. They're pretty good
Okay,
too. Yeah.
I mean Tom
This
Scioli is
is
great.
that.
So
So that was like. So both of these have that in common, where it just feels like Hasbro was like, here's all the toys, dump them out on the floor, go nuts, play with them. And it's really just these creators just smashing them together and having a great time telling the story.
And one thing I had and this is just kind of very inside baseball, more about the publishing, but Ben Abernathy he used to be the editor over in the Batman group at DC. I didn't realize he had left DC to go do this at Skybound, like the Energon universe. Which is like I like
Nice.
that they have a strong editor because that means that it feels like a cohesive world.
Yeah,
I
it
always
definitely
felt,
does.
yeah, I always felt very, I didn't know exactly what all it took to keep the Batman universe kind of rolling over at DC, but it has to be difficult. Like there's so much going on.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm very excited for the future of the Energon universe. I really need to catch up on Void Rivals. That's the only series that for some reason it didn't fully grab me when it started. Like I was like, oh, cool, Transformers, that was fun, but that's really all of it.
You do get a feeling because they're starting to incorporate some of the GI Joe characters now in
Oh,
the more
really?
recent issues. Yeah. So there are. I mean, it's the more fantastical side of the GI Joe, the Cobra Law part.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So you're seeing some characters from there pop up in Void Rivals. I get the sense that once they get GI Joe up and off the ground and they kind of have the GI Joe Transformers kind of crossover thing,
Yeah.
that then will fold Void Rivals more into this universe at large. Because there are hints of, I mean, the Transformers have been popping up throughout the series, but this is the first time we've seen the GI Joe characters start to pop up there too.
Okay. Well, either way, yeah, I'm very excited to kind of do all that and catch up. I know we have the trade somewhere. Image sent that over to us. So yeah, I really, there we go. Trying to get Santa in the frame.
Yeah, I was like, where did my Santa go? I had to keep adjusting my
Cool.
desk here.
All right. Anything else? Any closing thoughts on GI Joe #1, numero uno?
It's highly recommended. If you have
Yeah, go
not
pick it
read
up.
it,
There's no way your store sold out because there's so many variants.
Yeah, exactly.
So make sure to go pick it up. I do have some covers I want to show to kind of close out this segment. It was hard to pick, and these aren't even the ones I bought because I don't think I saw them at the store. Oh, I guess I did pick up the David Finch one, I think, and maybe the Mark Brooks. I don't know. Anyway, that was just for me to.
So many.
Yeah, that was just for me to close out the video. So let's move on to talk about the other stuff we've been watching and reading. So let's start with the watch stuff. Jeff, I'm gonna throw it back to you.
I haven't had much. I haven't had much of a chance to watch too much this week. I did catch up. Well, I've caught up on Penguin, which we're going to talk about later.
Penguin.
Which is I have some opinions on. I enjoyed it. I have some opinions on.
I think they nailed it.
Trying to pull up my list here. I watched something called on. I've been as I said last issue last episode, last issue podcast. I said that I've been watching Hallmark stuff again because of the Christmas whatevers. Hallmark has this new reality television show. First off, Hallmark, I think, is a low key one of the best studios out there right now. I got in a Threads conversation where I posted. I was like, "Hey, is Hallmark low key like one of the more successful studios out right now? Because they produce like 40 movies a year. None of them are going to film. Like they're not going to the movie theaters. They're just whatever.
Yeah.
But as far as a streaming service, I think that they have their stuff nailed. Like the movies, nobody ever complains about a Hallmark movie. You just love them. You love them, or you completely ignore them.
You love them or
They
you don't
make
talk about them.
you love them or you don't talk about them. So it's always good press. From what I understand, they're really easy to work on. Like people love going to work on Hallmark movies, and like you have a built-in audience. It's just anyway. I think they have such a good business plan going on over there. Blows me away. Because every single one of those movies, although they're not good, they're palatable, which is more than what I can say for some of the Netflix movies that are like 4 times as expensive. So
Yeah.
do with that what you will. But Hallmark has this reality TV show that is sort of like The Bachelor, except instead of there being a bunch of himbos trying to win over the heart of a young woman, it's a bunch of himbos trying to win a part in a Hallmark Christmas movie. And
Oh, that's
so
great.
they have to do the there's usually 2 events per episode kind of thing in all reality competition shows.
Yep.
So one of them is an acting challenge where they have to act opposite a scene partner, which for the person that has done some acting in me absolutely adores that stuff, because I'm watching these people who are not real actors trying to break down scenes and just getting on camera and just like whatever chaos happens.
Yeah.
And then the second one is the more Bachelor-esque challenge where they're usually getting half naked in front of like a Hallmark fan who's just a bunch of old ladies,
A
and
fan. That's funny.
they're doing like weird challenges where they're having to carry like snowmen or Christmas trees or like something Christmas themed, where they're just doing these challenges. And
That's
it's
really good. I think that's a fun idea.
yeah. And I've heard other people talk about it where they're like, "Oh, this could low key be like the winter hit of the thing." The problem is that you have to have, again, it's Hallmark, so it's one of those weird channels that is just not. They're not on Hulu. They're not on anything. They're on Peacock, but they're not streamed. They also just launched their own
Service?
service, Hallmark Plus, which is like $5 a month or whatever. But it's streaming on there. They do have the first episode on YouTube that you can watch for free. And then you can watch it if you have the Hallmark channel, which they stream on Peacock. So I have Peacock, so I can watch it live when they stream it on Peacock.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the thing about Hallmark, some Clayton just commented, Hallmark is comfort movies, no thought required, which I think is what some people want right now, honestly. Some people just I need something on in the background that I don't have to think about, because life makes you think enough.
I need something on in the background because the tinnitus is getting on my nerves right now.
That's right. I need something to drown out. I need something to drown out the screams, and it's going to be a love
Drown out the voices
story.
in my head.
That's right.
Oh, okay.
Over hot
That's
cocoa.
fun. Let us know if you find Mr. Christmas.
God, I hope so. I hope so.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a recommend.
You watched?
Yeah, that's everything I'm going to talk about.
You didn't go out of your way to watch Megalopolis on VOD now that it's out?
No, I did not go out of my way to.
Where Francis Ford Coppola will come to your house to do that one part in the scene. You have to schedule, and then you have to schedule.
If he brings one of his bottles of
wines,
wines, then I'll do it. Yeah. Drink wine with Francis Ford Coppola while he explains his movie to you.
Yeah, right. I mean, I would. How much is that? Because I might.
Is that a cameo option?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I watch a few things. I'm gonna start with the new sitcom on NBC, St. Denis Medical. I always love checking out their sitcoms, even if they're not good. I think this one's a little rough. It's got a rough start, but I can see how it could be a little bit funnier. It's got the same problem right now that the manager supervisor person is kind of like season 1 Michael Scott or season 1 Leslie Knope. And I feel like that always happens, even season 1, like from Superstore, because it's the same creator, Justin Spitzer, or he's one of the 2 creators on the show. Even the season 1, like Glenn and Amy, who were the kind of main, they were not fully formed yet. So hopefully they find that balance. You get a lot of the actors from Superstore to come back. Uh, so that's fun because I like them. I like the pharmacist is now like surgeon. So so yeah, I'm gonna keep watching it. They dropped 2 episodes. You can watch them on Peacock. And if you like, I'm just a fan of sitcoms, bad, good. I mean, I just finished watching the Reba McEntire sitcom right before we started
Is that any
recording. Like,
good?
it's not.
Is it as good as her old show?
No, I think the other one was better. It's so different, but yeah, I think her old show in the CW, I feel like was a lot better because it was more about her family,
Mm-hmm.
and that was kind of interesting. And this one's like her dad passed away, and they had a bar together, and she finds out that she has a half sister who's like a lot younger, and she's kind of like a millennial, so she's got all these millennial ideas, bringing him into this bar. So it's like an odd couple type of thing. So it's fine, it's fine. But yeah, I just like that she keeps working with what's her name, Melissa Peterson, I think.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well,
Like she just like I feel like they'll always work together forever now. Uh, so for those not in the know, in her original Reba sitcom, she was the younger woman that her husband left her for after the
yeah.
divorce. So um,
I love that original Reba show. I used to watch that non ironically just for the good vibes.
yeah, no, I think I remember reruns. They used to rerun a lot on CW, so that was good. Yeah, Clay's excited for the show. Rewatching Superstore. Superstore is fun, and then it gets kind of sad in the later seasons because it's like, oh yeah, this is like it feels like that was the only way you can go in a show about a store run by a mega corporation.
Capitalists.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, also on Peacock, it was a Peacock day. I guess a Peacock week. There's a new show called The Day of the Jackal
Oh yeah, yeah.
with Eddie Redmayne, Mr. Fantastic Beast himself, where he plays an assassin that goes under not undercover, but like he wears a lot of disguises and stuff. So think Master of Disguise, but serious and with Eddie Redmayne. I was just kidding. Don't think about Master of Disguise.
No, I hope he turtles.
Yeah. It's really good. It's very much of a thriller, just a spy thriller. Because there is an agency. The actor who plays Maria Rambo, that's the mom, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
She's in it as well. She's the Interpol FBI agent, whatever agencies, because it's in Europe, so it's not. I don't think it's FBI, but yeah, she plays the agent that's trying to find them. But I think the cool thing is that it takes a twist where, in order to find them, she does something that it's kind of really messed up, and we don't know the consequence. I've only seen the first episode, so I don't know the full consequences of that. But yeah, the first episode was pretty good. They're about an hour, and it's supposed to be weekly, but I don't know when it premiered because there's already like 5 out. So I don't know. It supposedly
Hmm.
drops on Thursdays, so I'll probably be catching up on that because it's really good. I like Eddie Redmayne. I think he was a really interesting part of Jupiter's Ascending. If you watch that movie,
He's my favorite part. He's the only part I remember.
he's like he's in another movie. He's in a whole movie all by himself.
And that's
And
the
not
movie
just
I want to
because,
be watching,
yeah,
honestly.
not just because he was in space. He was actually in Dune more. Well, he was in more of a Dune type of movie than
Yeah.
in Jupiter's Ascending. Um, yeah, I like Eddie Redmayne, so I wanted to check it out. And it feels like I don't know, spy thrillers are kind of fun when they're done properly. So, and then the last thing I watched that's kind of a new thing is a couple of weeks ago somebody recommended The Diplomat because the season 2 had just come back. Season 2 had just kicked off on Netflix. This is a Kerry Russell show where she plays the ambassador to the. Well, she's a United States ambassador, and she's supposed to be going to Iran, but then the president sends her to the UK instead. Uh, and then there happens to be like an attack on the UK or like a Navy boat, whatever. It's it's interesting because the tone is very weird. It's like a political drama, but it's also a little bit of it feels comedic at sometimes. But I don't know if that's just the energy that Carrie Russell gives out. Like she's kind of like this out of fish out of water because she's more like an ambassador, boots on the ground, doing things every day, right? She's used to working with the Middle East, and so she's always trying to do something like that in areas of conflict. But now she's in the UK, which is kind of like a more posh
Stable.
position, I
Yeah.
guess, right? So like there's all this like etiquette and stuff, and just for her really feels very out of place. But she's great. I mean, who doesn't love Felicity?
Yeah. Long
And
hair,
so
short hair, it does not matter.
yeah, it gives a lot of energy, like the Americans without like all the really dark stuff. Although maybe it's going that way, and I think one thing that also made me kind of watch is that Allison Janney is joining for season 2,
Oh, that's
and
cool.
I
I love
don't
her.
know I don't know exactly what they. I haven't been gotten there yet. I just watched the first season, which is like 8 episodes. Um, but I recommend it. The only thing that we kind of touched on this, and this show always getting political because the media we consume just keeps throwing it in our face. I'm like, God, like these people feel like they really know what they're doing, and then you hear like nominations of people that be doing some stuff in the government. And I'm like, this is backwards. Like like if the fiction feels like it's the way things should be working. And
I've taken a page. I know we try to steer clear of some politics here, but I have taken a page out of some of my fellow Americans' books and just decided that for a little bit, I'm just not going to pay attention to the news. I'm just not gonna I'm
yeah,
just gonna let it happen. Whatever happens, just gonna let it happen.
yeah,
Uh, I
yeah,
do know there's aliens in the ocean. That's all I need to know.
maybe for now.
I mean, yeah, for now they're in the ocean. Who knows where they're going to be next month?
So but yeah, I recommend the Diplomat. It'll But that is a weird thing that I'm like, huh, you would think you would
Oh, this
want
is why I won't go
stable.
back. I stopped watching The West Wing it's my comfort TV show, but I'm not going back there
Not
right now.
anymore. Like,
Nope.
you're too
This isn't going to be it.
capable.
Yeah.
You're too good at this.
This is not reality. What is this?
Yeah, right.
Science fiction?
Uh, so Star Wars. I'm gonna go watch Star Wars. Seems more
Yeah.
realistic. But yeah, that's all the stuff I've watched. So let me throw it back to you, Jeff, so we can talk about comic books.
Love
Big
it.
week. I feel like it was a big week this week after a little bit of a slow week last time because of the 5th week of the month.
It's such a big week. I've not finished reading everything. So let me show
Same.
you what I have. I've not finished Dark Age yet, but this is the last issue of Dark Age.
Oh yeah, now I can finally get into it.
I've not read. I was going to drop this, but then I found out that
Philip K. Johnson.
Philip K. Johnson picked up the writing, and I'm love it.
Yep.
So I've not read that. I've not read the most recent Action Comics by Mark Waid, but I am
Well, I picked
digging
that
the
one up
weekly
too, but
story.
here, let me.
Oh, look at that! Oh, shiny. That
You
is
see how
cool.
shiny that is compared to the GIJoe issue?
Yeah. The newest issue of Helen of Windhorn.
I
I've
finally
not
can
read
catch
yet,
up and give you all my thoughts on that. I'm so very excited.
and I'm still reading the
The
Chip
domain.
Zdarsky's Domain.
I love that it looked. They keep making it just like the little D&D booklet handbooks and the
Yeah,
cover.
it's super fun, and the most fun thing about this book, it's an okay book. It's as far as a superhero book goes. But I
Yeah,
think the most fun thing about this book is that the characters in this book, their characterization mirrors the characters in the public domain book, which is fascinating.
which
so
is
so
the way
smart
it
of the
kind of
show.
works because a lot of creators write from what they know and their everyday life, so it would make sense that a lot of that stuff would go into what they're working on, right?
Right. So, and for those that don't know, Public Domain is a book by Chip Zdarsky
Oh, right,
and
right.
Rachel Stott. And the book Public Domain is about a bunch of comic book creators creating a comic book, and it's about comic book rights and stuff like that. But
Yep.
the book that they're creating in Public Domain is The Domain. So that's how that book gets to be.
It's all connected.
It's all connected. I talked a little bit about this earlier. The newest issue of Transformers. I have read this. We Starscream is back. uh,
You got a new look.
and
If you
he's
see
got a
this
new
on the
look.
cover,
He's got some new legs, sort of. I do enjoy this Transformers book. I like, again, as I mentioned before, you're starting to see pockets of Decepticons. They're not a unified front at all. It's just a bunch of bad guys being bad guys, and they all have their own little pockets of what they want to do. Soundwave has his group. Starscream has his group now. Megatron's still floating around by himself somewhere.
yeah. These
So
Starscream flashbacks, man, they hit hard. Like
yeah,
I'm like, do I like this guy now? What's going on? So
yeah. This
yeah.
this version of Starscream definitely has some trauma.
And once again,
I
like
went back.
before you do that, just like this one's
Yeah.
Jason Howard jumped on the art for this arc. And once again, like I said,
Mhm.
Ben Abernathy and the team, like finding another, like it's like we're getting away from the Daniel Warren Johnson look, but it's so gradual, right? Because
Yeah,
Jorge Corona jumped in and it was like, okay, this still like looks 90-80% like the style. And Jason Howard now it's like 90-80% of what Corona was doing. So it's like very slowly pulling me out of that, oh, it needs to look like this type of mode in my head. So yeah, I love it. It's so good.
yeah, and that is a good point because sometimes you'll get these like A tier books, and
Yeah.
you'll have a big creator doing the artwork on them, and then they'll have like a weird fill in issue where it's just Joe like Schmo, who and no disrespect to Joe Schmo, but their artwork just isn't the same,
It's a little
But
jarring, it changed. Yeah.
yeah,
It because it is a comics are a visual language. So like when you're showing me, I had an issue with the that was my one complaint I have about Ultimate Spider-Man.
hmm
Marco Cicchetto had been doing the art for most of them, but there was one issue. There's been a couple issues where they use another artist, but one of the artists just looks so different, like so jarringly different
yeah,
than Cicchetto's style that it completely felt like a whole different world. Like the story was still fantastic, but I talked. I don't remember which issue it was, but if I see the art, I'll know. And Birds of Prey did the same thing, where
yeah,
like there was one issue where they brought in an artist that it's very much like manga or anime style almost. Um, and then I look at the next issue. I was like, why didn't you just get this other artist? Because this would have been a better transition and save this other guy from when you actually go all out wild with the art changes in the next art. I don't know. It was
yeah.
just yeah. Anyways,
Uh, this Amazing Spider-Man 61. I've not been reading Amazing Spider-Man on the regular, but I picked up this because it's a new story arc. Joe Kelly's new creative team, Joe Kelly and Ed McGuinness artwork. McGuinness's artwork in this thing is fantastic. It's
yeah,
so great. I'm trying to make sure
it's
it's
so
great.
good.
Um, I don't know if I'm going to keep going with it. Like I like the idea of a short little. This feels like a gap filler story
It
before
was
the
like an
next
eight
big.
issue thing, just
Yeah, it
because
feels
of
like
the
an 8 issue
title.
thing. Yeah, it's yeah. I love the premise. You know what? I might keep it going for the
I'm
next 8
kind of
issues.
back in too, Jeff. I read it
The
and
the only thing that bugs me, I will say this, uh, is it's so weird going back to 616 Peter Parker after all this time, especially after reading Ultimate
Ultimate.
Spider-Man Peter Parker.
Yeah,
Granted, Ultimate Spider-Man Peter Parker, I guess story-wise, he doesn't have a whole lifetime of being Spider-Man to mess up his
yeah,
life. So the fact that he's so much more together and he's married, he's got a family, he kind of has his head like attached to his body, like and he's in a better place mentally than
yeah.
616 Peter Parker, who I'm like, the thing that bugs me about 616 Peter Parker, I'm like, you've got to be like 30 something. Get your life together. Like everybody else in this world is a superhero, has their like Matt's a lawyer and a superhero. You can't even be
Well,
like,
he's a priest right now, so
well, he's a priest right now. But
I get what you're saying.
yeah, I'm
Um,
just like, get it together, Peter. Like, get it together. But
Also,
I love the premise. I love the Doctor
yeah, it's
Doom.
so silly. I was like, Joe Kelly's just like going for a Joe Kelly level story of like it's so far removed from what was happening, and the tone is way less serious than whatever was happening before. It's a lot of fun. I I do hope to see a few more. There's a couple of pages that are done by different artists when they kind of go into the whole explanation of like the mystic
Mm.
side of it. And I hope they bring that artist back for a little bit for a few more things because man, oh man, that. Thank you,
This
Jeff. Yeah,
stuff,
thanks for
this
pointing
kind
it
of
up.
watercolory stuff.
It's like really painterly. The Sidorak is always fun to see in a comic book.
Yeah.
Uh, and it was really cool. And the suit that Spider-Man gets at the end of this issue, it's so goofy. But I don't think we're gonna see that one much more. I think it's gonna change a lot. It almost feels like they're. I know comics
This
don't
is
normally sell toys.
Ed
Yeah, look at
McGuinness
that.
art.
Ed McGuinness is so good. Oh my god. And I like that he usually makes characters look really buff. Like if you read Public Enemies,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
that
yeah.
series of Batman Superman story, like everyone looks super buff, but he toned it down so much with Peter because he's supposed to be like lanky and agile and slim. So yep. So far so good. Amazing Spider-Man. I'm back in for now.
Yeah. Okay, Captain America, issue number 15 here.
The one copy
Uh,
sold, as far as I
the one
know.
copy sold. It's me. I got it. I really enjoyed it. So this is Straczynski being Straczynski. He's writing Spider-Man, Captain Thor.
Yeah.
I guess Bronxton, Oklahoma was destroyed in the Thor run by
Oh
the
yeah,
God of
yeah.
Hammers. So Thor is trying to bring it back. There's spell shenanigans involved. But it is fun watching Straczynski write Captain America, Spider-Man, and it's just basically a buddy team up
Okay.
story kind of thing.
Okay. That sounds fun.
This Uncanny X-Men
Uncanny
number,
X-Men.
what is this, 5?
I did pick that up. I haven't read it, but I did pick it up.
It's a pretty good issue. It
I got
ends kind of quickly and abruptly for me, but
yeah. I got the Gambit and the Cats. This calls back to the what's his name? Peter. When he wrote X Factor, the the writer who created Spider Knight
Peter Milligan?
2099. No, Spidey 2099. Anyways,
Peter David.
yeah, Peter David. Thank you. He did a run of X Factor where they were owned by a corporation, and for some reason in that issue, Gambit had a lot of cats all over the place, like his apartment. So I just saw this cover and I was like, oh, I gotta get that for sure.
It's a pretty good issue. This is still probably my favorite X-Men comic of the main 3, I would say.
Okay.
And then finally, dun dun dun, Absolute Batman number 2.
Number 2.
So great. We get the Batmobile in this one, which I think is fantastic. The Batmobile in this is it just seems like Scott Snyder is like, what is the most boy man thing Batman could drive? And it's like an earth mover. Of course it is.
Yeah.
So it's a giant earth mover.
We're blessed, but less. But yeah, I got the normal cover. I got the Daniel Warren Johnson cover.
Ooh, nice.
And then I got the Jay Lee cover. I love that.
Nice.
Love to see this.
Yeah, I'm excited. Again, the Absolute stuff has been great. Been fantastic.
Yep.
Very excited for it. That's all I've read so far.
That's a good segue for me to show you the rest of my stuff. I picked up the Absolute Batman number 1 Noir edition. So this is a black and white edition of the first.
Oh, nice.
I mean, Nick Dragotta's art just works in black and white so well.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So yeah, I loved it. I paged through it. I didn't read it again because I've read this book like 5 times already. But it was really cool. I haven't read this, but I did pick up Black Lightning number 1.
Who's that creative team?
This is somebody, Brandon Thomas and Fico Ocio, who I don't know that I'm very familiar with either one of them. But I do like Black Lightning. I just feel like sometimes he doesn't get the love. The character doesn't get the love that it deserves. And that makes his books maybe not last as long as they should. Yeah. So yeah, hopefully this one's different. Let's see what else. I picked up the reprint of this. I just recently read for the first time and with Jeff, along with Jeff, the Kraven's Last Hunt. So they reprinted this Web of Spider-Man. issue,
Nice.
and I was like, oh, I gotta have that. I think there was a special, there was a 3D comic for Deadpool this week, but I was like, I'm not paying $10 again for a 3D gimmick. Uh, fool me once, shame on me. This is the Tom Hardy book, Arcbound #1 from Dark Horse. It's Scott Snyder, Frank Thierry, with characters by Tom Hardy and Ryan Smallman on art. I did read it. It's fine. Unfortunately, it's just fine. I do feel like it feels more like a writing assignment for the both of them from Tom Hardy. Like, hey, let's make some IP.
This
Um,
does feel a little like, hey, I saw Berserker. That seemed to work. Let's get Tom Hardy to write one of these things.
yeah, unfortunately, it was not as good as Berserker. Uh, Ultimate X-Men #9. I haven't read it, but I did pick up this one, and I love the design ones,
Yeah,
especially
those are good
Peach
covers.
Momoko. Like, I just love seeing behind the scenes with a lot of the stuff that she works on. Uh, Before I go on to one of my favorite things, I'll show you all the GI Joes that I got. So this is David Finch, David, yeah, David Finch, Mark Brooks, and then the other ones that I showed earlier. And last but not least, I picked up Psylocke #1. I got the
Huh.
Artgerm cover and the regular cover by Mahmoud Assar. This is a new book written by Elisa Wong. They
Okay.
previously did the Deadpool series that I really loved, and it's got art by Vincento Caratu, who's probably if you've been reading X-Men books, you probably saw that name, all across the place. But yeah, I mean, we're getting a new story with Psylocke. I love Psylocke. I grew up in the '90s, and she was one of the characters that really stood out to me then, for various reasons. Um, but
Is she split? Is she Psylocke and Quanon again, or is she?
it is Quanon. So Betty's now her own character, at least for now. I think they finally realized that was kind of a messed up thing to do anyway. So like they just once they put him back, I don't think they don't have plans to go back and do
Okay,
anything with
yeah,
that. But it is this is just completely Quanon, uh, and she kind of gets benched on the X-Men team because she's part of the X-Men currently. If you're reading that,
yeah.
so she kind of goes and finds a mission on her own. She's gonna be helping people that need help, regardless of whether they like the X Men or not. So, or mutants in general. So, I'm very excited. Like I said, it's a great creative team. I'll actually be dropping a full review later on today. I shot it yesterday, so stay tuned in the channel if you
Is
want to see that.
is it mini or is it ongoing? Because I was shocked in the back of X Men they announced this Magic
Oh,
#1,
I'm ready for
which,
that.
which is an ongoing series according to the thing. So
I think it's ongoing. I would say they give this like a probably at least 8 to 12 issues to see how it goes. That's what they've been doing with a lot of these X-Men series, and
yeah,
I think that's fine. I think 12 issues is a good length for an issue. Like you run out of, I don't know, not that you run out of stories, but like you
it's a
probably
good
want to change
year.
the status quo every once in a while. So
Yeah.
cool. That's all the comics I have. I don't know that I missed anything this week because I already went to both of my shops. So let's. You want to talk about the comic that we're gonna review? How about that? Let's move on to that.
Dun, dun, dun.
Let me set that up real quick. So we've
The
been following the
Horizon
Horizon
Experiment.
Experiment. We love to be experimented on by comic book creators.
I'll
Um,
talk about it while you set up the things. You're not split.
Thank you very much.
So, Image has the Horizon Experiment. It's a small series of books. I think it's being either spearheaded or edited. Maybe not edited, but spearheaded by Ponchak Pichochet.
Yeah,
Basically, the premise is taking a lot of these kind of classic ideas for characters that are generally Western characters, something like Indiana Jones or James Bond, and replacing that character with a person of color or somebody who isn't Westernized. But instead of it being kind of a tokenism thing, it's like no, this is going to be deeply rooted in their, like, why is there a Chinese James Bond, and it's going
Yep.
to be based out of that kind of like actual experience of what Chinese spies might be like and stuff, instead of it just being like a guy who's James Bond who just happens to be Chinese. Uh, so two of these have already come out yet. There's been one that's been kind of a there's been the Chinese James Bond, the Manchurian. Then there was one that was kind of like a Muslim John Constantine.
Yeah,
That was a great book. And then
that
this
was
is sort of
really.
like a this one is sort of like a werewolfy kind of thing. Instead of werewolves, they're what are they? They're
Here, let me give you. I'll give
hyenas.
you the synopsis. Thank you, Jeff. I'll take the handoff here.
Yeah,
We're gonna be talking about Moondogs #1. This is literally horror icon and multi-award-winning novelist Tana Nariv Dew and Kelsey Ramsey. They follow East African werewolves secretly living in Miami as this minority within a minority is caught in a burgeoning war that threatens both lycanthrope and human lives. They even have a little thing where it's like they call them were hyenas, almost like it's like a different thing. So they're definitely a little bit different from the werewolf. So like I like that where we're bringing in a different. It's like very similar lore, but it's from a different region of the
yeah.
world. So like
Mhm.
things are a little bit different. So yeah, that's Moondogs #1. But Jeff, why don't you tell me what did you think of the book?
I will say, unfortunately, this is my least favorite of the three that have come out so far. It was definitely it felt longer than it felt a little bit longer than some of them. I can't tell
Yeah,
if it was because there's a lot of words in this one, and it takes a bit before it gets to the action. So for me, I got a little bit bored during it when they were trying to catch us up with like the lore and whatnot of, and
yeah,
this setting up the universe kind of stuff. Uh, the artwork I found a little bit confusing at times, um, but overall, I think there's a good story in here. I just I wasn't as over I wasn't bowled over by it as much as I was the previous two stories that have come out.
I agree. I think
So
the bar was set pretty high with the Damned book and the Manchurian one.
yeah,
That this feels a little bit, I mean, actually a lot different than that in both the approach, where the other ones it's almost as if we started those in media res, where like we told you the premise, we're just gonna drop you in there. But I
yeah.
feel like this one had to build a lot more. There's even a page that's just like a full letter, and I'm like,
I would
oh my
say
goodness,
that's when I got to that full page letter that was
yeah.
handwritten, and I was just like, I don't want to read this. Like, I just did not want to
And
read that one page. It kind of turned me off, honestly.
I don't, I don't know much about the writer, but I do know it's been my experience that when people that write novels jump into comic books, this happened a little bit with Ta-Nehisi Coates when he took over Black Panther and then Captain America. Like I felt that the books were very wordy. They
Yeah,
used a lot of narration to set things up. Uh, and sometimes with comic books, it's more about showing us and less about telling us.
yeah,
Right? At least now, I know the like back in the day, comics had to both tell you and show you because that's the way Stanley thought it should be. But I there's a lot of interesting things here, and I'll put up some pictures of the art in a second. So I like the idea of this like werewolf type of war between American werewolves and this other, these West African werewolves that are kind of living here now, and how they approach things differently. The little brother feels like it feels almost like commentary on like second generation immigrants of like
mhm,
adapting and losing their own identities and trying to adapt and kind of go with more of the local ways. So I thought that, like I said, I think there's a lot of interesting commentary in here, uh, and even the relationship between what's her Nala, which great name, yeah, the intro for Lion King, great name, and her boyfriend. Um, like how would he even accept her, right? Knowing the secret behind all that. But the art can
That's
get pretty gory. Uh, Here's a few of the pages that we have that Image put out for the previews, and like when the moon is out, they have like a family feast, and man, they just go for
right.
it, right? Like they like you see
Yeah.
this scene especially. I think the
Somebody
book
dumps out the
itself,
bucket of chicken and they go nuts.
yeah, uh the book itself starts with a very like a murder, and it's pretty gory. Whoops. So yeah, like I don't know what they look like, an antelope or something. They could have looked like a
It
pretty
weird
big something.
for some
Uh,
reason. It weirdly reminds me of an old like USA network television show. I think maybe because it takes place in Miami, but there's kind of
I
like all these interpersonal relationships and stuff, and it's kind of like you feel like there's something there. It's kind of the comic itself feels a little surfacey, but you know there's more there to it. But it
yeah,
never
I caught
really
the
gets
vibe
that
too.
deep. Yeah, it kind of has
Especially
a. It
the
feels
scene
like
on
a.
the with the motorcycle. I was like, oh, this is like Miami Vice type of stuff.
It's like Burn Notice or something.
Yeah,
You know,
something
like
like that.
that kind of like get those vibes.
But I even love the moments of levity of like when the family is doing after they're done with their feast. I guess they, the parents like they probably don't have that kind of superhuman strength all the time, maybe right? But maybe after a big
Yeah,
meal, like you can tell that they are a little bit more lively and spry, and obviously that's a feeling that they probably look forward to during the full moon.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, I like this idea. I think there's some fun stuff in there. I If I had to pick like which one should keep going, I would probably start with the I forget what it's called, the Righteous Dam, something like that.
yes, yeah, yeah. That so far is my
Um,
favorite one too.
and then maybe the Manchurian, and then this one. So we'll see. We'll see where this goes. But yeah, I think on a it does feel like they threw a lot in the first issue because they had like a whole thing to tell. And maybe in a miniseries that would have been parceled out a little bit more and more intertwined with the mystery. So,
Yeah,
um, and the art reminds me a lot of like old Greg Capullo, which I'm saying that as a compliment. Um,
I can see
so,
that. Yeah, definitely.
all right. Anything else about Moondogs
No, I mean, it comes out this next week.
this coming up week? Yep.
Hmm.
Horizon Experiment continues. So, thanks to Image. Thanks to the creators. Here's some of the Tula Lotte cover, of course, and then the main cover. So, see which one you want to pick out. I'll probably still pick it up just because I want that Tula Lotte cover, anyways.
The Twill
So,
Take Cover is pretty dope.
yeah. So, alrighty. What do we have? Where are we at? All right, we got about a half hour left. Um, I guess we don't have to go the whole half hour, but one thing we wanted to touch on, and Jeff, I don't know if you have anything else before we move on to the what if stuff.
I do not. I don't.
Okay. Um, I was trying to think if there was any news that I did want to talk about, but I don't think we have any recently. Um, and the rest of the news are not worth talking about. So
It's been an interesting week. I am excited. Well, for pop culture news, I will say this: I am excited that Conan O'Brien is hosting the Oscars the 2025 Oscars. I don't know if you caught that
yes,
announcement. I
I
every time
did. I did see
there's a
that.
big award show, I long for like I'm like please Conan, or John Mulaney. I think is another like prime person they could just slide in as a host. Like there's just something about them that they're so good at just kind of like being open with all the celebrities and stuff. I don't know. So quick witted. So when I found out that he could, and I know they've been asking him for years, and he's just been for years saying no. But the fact that he was like, yes, this year I will do it, I was so happy.
I'll do it. America needs me.
America needs me. The aliens need me. Water aliens.
In in the year 2000. That's one of my favorite. Oh, you know what I did want to chat about real quick, and I had told Clay about this. We did hear that we just heard Denzel Washington casually announce that Ryan Coogler's writing a part for him in Black Panther 3. I don't know if you heard about that.
I did hear about this, and people are
So,
like, "Well, who's he gonna play?"
well, that's one thing. So, do you have anybody in mind
I
that
did
he could play?
see somebody post a picture of Denzel Washington next to a picture of Blue Marvel, and I was like, "That'd be pretty good." Uh,
Oh, that interesting.
um, but outside of that, I don't know if I know. I could think of anybody else that it would be.
There was a villain. Oh man, I had to look it up because I don't know a lot of Black Panther villains.
Yeah,
But
that's kind
there's
of where
one
I'm
of
at. I
them.
don't know a ton of them.
There's one of them that has like a connection to Mephisto.
Uh-huh.
Uh, and I forget his name. Uh, but it looked really interesting. Hold on, let me see. Who's Black Panther's biggest enemy? Ooh, 13 iconic Black Panther villains. Let's see. American Panther. I don't think that's where they're gonna go with that. Oh, Reverend Achebe. That's the one. That's the one that has a connection um to Mephisto. He was a Christopher Priest character. And he was described in one article that I saw. He's described as Black Panther's Joker, and I was like, "What kind of freaking Joker is powered by Mephisto?" Um, so I wouldn't be opposed to that. I do. Let me show you this picture that I found, because I think it's really funny. Let's see. Share this tab instead. Oh, oh yeah. Here we go. Oh, it's just a very small picture. Hold on. I don't know why he's got a puppet. I haven't read the story.
Is
It
this
looks
this is
like
the Reverend guy?
yeah, this is Reverend Achebe. He's let's see, what does it say here? Part of Wakanda's nobility comes from its escaping colonization in the 20th century. Saw much of this. Blah 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 blah. I don't know. It doesn't tell me much, but yeah, it's supposedly he just got parts from Mephisto, and I'm like, what the heck? But the other thing I wanted to ask was if you had any favorite Denzel Washington movies, and I know this is kind of out of nowhere, but don't worry, I'm here to help.
What is
Because
my
obviously, I
favorite
don't expect
Denzel
you to have
Washington movie?
Denzel's.
Gosh,
So here's the
that's
letterbox for Denzel
Flying
by popularity.
Training Day. Let's
So
see
I don't know if
here.
any of
Malcolm
these,
X, Philadelphia.
and I've watched way more than the 10 that are here labeled on here, but uh, obviously, I'm very excited for Gladiator 2. I think Men on Fire, banger. If you haven't seen Men on Fire, it.
Macbeth.
Let's see, I don't know
I'm
if I can
gonna
make it any bigger.
I'm gonna go with Malcolm X. He's so
You know,
great in
that's funny.
Malcolm
That's one
X.
of the ones I haven't seen.
Oh, but he's super great in Training Day too.
He is great in Training Day. I mean, that's where he got his Oscar. I also haven't seen
Yeah,
American Gangster, which I feel like I should. So
I think I saw it a long time ago.
let me add this to my watch list while I'm here.
Let's just get some work done. Hold on.
Live letterboxing, yeah.
Yeah, some
I
live
love the
letterboxing.
Equalizer movies. They're kind of silly, but I think they're fun.
Yeah,
And there's three
he's
of them.
actually he's good in Much Ado About Nothing.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Glory,
yeah.
Crimson Tide.
He loves
I like him
Shakespeare.
great. Oh, you know what? I really love him in He Got Game. I forgot about He Got Game. He's so good in He Got Game. So good in He Got Game.
He got game. I don't even know. That one's not even
It's
on
a
here.
Yeah, it's you scrolled too past it. It's on your right hand side, right there in the center of the screen right now.
Oh,
Right next
here,
to the
here.
Manchurian Candidate.
Oh, I don't think I've seen this one either. All
It's
right,
a
let's.
basketball movie.
What
He
about
plays like a
where you at with Two Guns with Marky Mark?
it's a
Based
fun
on a
movie.
comic,
It's a pretty
actually.
fun movie. Oh, he's
Based on a comic.
Crimson Tide. He's great in Crimson Tide. I'm sure I said that.
Oh yeah.
What's the one movie where he's
He
in the train with Unstoppable right there?
he
I
he has
love it.
2 movies about a train, so you gotta be more specific.
Oh,
He's also in the remake for the Taking of the Pelham 1, 2, 3, which
is there a
I big
Shakespeare?
fan of.
Can we do a Shakespeare adaptation that takes place on a train? Because then Denzel would be all over that.
He does want to do, I think, Macbeth
On a
or King
train?
Lear, one of those. I should watch Glory as well, probably.
Oh, Glory's great.
Just feels like something I should watch. Yeah, Clay mentioned Little Thing wasting everybody that was in here. I don't know if Jared Leto was wasted. I feel like he was right at home in that one. Remember the Titans, of course, classic.
Yeah.
Disney solving racism in America. Flight, I think it's a really good one as well. This is by what's his name? He just put out a movie. He's the director of Zemeckis. I think it's Zemeckis.
Oh yeah,
that did this one.
Zemeckis. He's the
Yeah,
room guy or whatever that spot.
that's right.
Whatever that movie
So,
is.
Flying the plane. Have you seen Book of Eli? I hear that's really bad.
Yeah, I think I've seen.
I hear
it.
that's really bad, so I haven't. But anyways,
great actor.
Denzel's fantastic. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about him. Safe House with Ryan Reynolds, classic. Pelican Brief, classic.
I want to see him do another movie with Tom Hanks, but one that's like way more lighthearted than Philadelphia.
They should remake. Do you know that movie about the old angry neighbors that hate each other?
Old angry men or whatever that
was. with Mr. Wilson from Dennis the Menace.
With
he was
Jack Lemmon and
yes,
Angry Old Men. That's what I think it is.
Yeah, there you go. I want a remake of that, but one neighbor is Denzel, one neighbor is Tom Hanks.
That would be great. I would love it. I would love it.
And if you haven't seen The Tragedy of Macbeth, it's really good. It's on Apple TV Plus, which is interesting.
I think he's in Kenneth Branagh's Hamlet too.
He's a Shakespeare guy through and through because he named, as part of his last 6 movies that he wants to do, 2 of them are Shakespeare things. So, yeah, he's a Shakespeare guy. He's an actor. Like, he's an actor. So, all right, Clay throwing a bunch of just going through pretty much. Clay's fully on Denzel. Book of Eli is okay, but terrible ending. Okay. Bone Collector, that's with Angelina Jolie. Something about Marky Mark that I won't pull up. Go look for it in the comments. So, all right. Yeah. So now that we talked enough about Denzel, that leads us back to Marvel.
Clay said he loved Marky Mark. That's what he said.
Oof. Kang? No. Somebody else should be Kang. All right. Let's see. I'm getting some share advice. Do you remember that series? Oh, I went too far back. I was like looking at the comments. Okay. Now, this Monday, I think we got a trailer for Marvel's Animation What If Season 3. Now, Jeff, you told me that you haven't watched Season 2. Is that right?
I think I've seen like the first episode. I just haven't finished it yet.
Well, they're going to do the same thing they did last year where they're going to drop it on the 22nd and just go one at a time, one a day for the remainder of the year. So we're getting 8 episodes. We don't have titles yet, but we do have a trailer. So we're going to check that out.
Oh, it comes out this year?
Yeah, it comes out this year in December.
Wow.
I know. This is the last Marvel thing we'll get this year before and then we won't get anything until Captain America. So I think we're going to we have a few weeks off. Then we have the Star Wars show with Jude Law. What's it called? I don't remember the name of the show. So that's probably Skeleton Crew.
Skeleton Crew.
We have Skeleton Crew, and then I think that should take us all the way to December. And then What If? So, Disney figured out how to never let you stop having your membership on.
Yeah. Good job, Disney. Way to go, Bob Iger.
Way to go, Iger. Let me see. How's this one look? I like this.
Yeah,
Let me
looks good to
see.
me.
Yeah, it's not bad. Pretty good. Let's try this one out. All right, let's watch the trailer for Marvel's animation. What if? And let me know if you can hear it, Jeff.
I got it.
Season 2.
Let's begin. Up for an adventure?
Always.
Kate Bishop, Shang-Chi.
To understand, you must learn to see.
What exactly are you proposing?
It's showtime.
Here we go!
Howard, are you sure you can fly this?
Are you kidding? I'm a duck. I was born to fly. Strap in.
Oh, move over.
If we all go down, the world will be left defenseless. This is the shot we have. We may not get another one.
Oh, I'm so excited for this one.
Let's finish it.
Oh, we're good to go.
Avenger, assemble.
Nice.
Light them up now.
This is where your story ends. With some mysteries, the only answer is what if.
Maybe it's time that we called in some help.
I am
Whoa.
Thunder.
All right, that's pretty cool.
That's exactly the reaction I wanted to see, Jeff. Excellent stuff.
The thing I love about this show is that you get to bring so many people back to their roles without having to really bring them back, but it's just their voices, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just so much fun to hear some of those actors again, like kind of re-inhabit those characters.
Yeah. So I gotta ask, first of all, Jeff, where are you at on mechs? How do you feel about mechs?
I'm not a big fan of a superpowered person inside a mech because I'm
Okay.
like, you've got superpowers. Go outside and use your superpowers. Mechs on their own, I love. Like Voltron, the big, like I grew up on all that stuff. So like a guy
Yeah.
jumping into a tiny little cockpit that's like either in a giant robot's head or heart. Like I'm all about it.
All right.
But
great.
like I'm
Good
just
to
but
hear.
yeah, unless you're like Batman with the mech makes sense to me because he doesn't have because he's human. Captain Marvel in the mech doesn't make sense to me.
Now, these could be unpowered people in this, right? Obviously, we know who they
Yeah.
are. That was Monica Rambeau, and that was Falcon. So, like, one of the mechs though has a Moon Knight thing on it, and I'm like, tell me more. I'd like to know more about this. Like,
Yeah.
it looks like a Conchu. Let me see if I can find it.
I will
There's so much.
say because Marvel had a comic that was like a Marvel mech kind of thing, and I did not read it all. But seeing them in animation, I'm like, that looks pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, one of these is the Moon Knight man. Oh, here it is. You see the little moon in the. And it's probably very hard to see, but trust me, it's there. We also get Agatha just looking like she's
Yeah.
stealing more than witches' powers, like cosmic entity powers, maybe. So that's very cool, especially hot off the heels of Agatha all along.
Yes.
Yes.
This gives me impetus to finish the second season before the third one comes around.
Yeah, you should. especially if you haven't met Kahori, who is one of the What If original characters. She's the one that's
Yeah,
talking like we should get help. Also, very excited to see this Winter Soldier Red Guardian team up.
Guardian team up. Yeah, that looks fun.
Like this could even just be like a mission that they did.
Back
Like
in the
this doesn't even
day.
have to be a what if. This is like we just did
Yeah.
this, but neither one of them remembers because they've been through so much shit. Are they inside a dead Celestial's armor? There is a Celestial here. Maybe they're fighting a Celestial
It could
because
be.
we do see a Celestial there. So maybe the Eternals will be involved in some like Marvel's like, I know we did this movie a long time ago. Relax, we remember the Eternals.
Listen, we're gonna sneak him back in some way.
Yeah, Kate Bishop in Shang-Chi, just in the Old West. I'm
Yeah.
a fan of dropping two characters in the Old West, and letting
Always
them
fun.
go, see what happens.
Always fun.
But I think the pièce de résistance, other than the Watchers actually watching stuff, and that move like looks like they're finally coming into action. Which Jeff had a great reaction to, and I love that. I would love to see it. Storm.
Yeah, and the fact that they used the voice of Storm from the animated,
Yes,
like it's her voice, her like
she's wielding
commanding the
Mjolnir.
Mjolnir.
She
That's
saw
such a
the hammer a
classic.
few times, and yeah, she saw the hammer a few times in the comics.
Yeah,
So
classic
make sure to go
comics.
chase those down.
And Storm is just such a badass. I love Storm.
And this is like technically the first X-Men, not the first mutant, because obviously they said Kamala Khan's a mutant or whatever, but this is the first X-Men that we actually see in what is like MCU canon, because this whole what if thing is real, right? We met the Doctor Strange. We know that they go back and forth, the Watcher, whatever. This is all like main MCU, even if it's a different universe. So like that's kind of a fun way to
This is like
backdoor
the first
pilot in your
X-Men.
X-Men.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
first X-Men, proper X-Men, I would say.
Which is kind of sad that this is the last season of this. I feel like the series could kind of go on forever.
They may. I get the feeling. Well, I wonder how expensive this is
Yeah.
with all that animation and stuff. They're probably like, let's take a break.
I'm not worried about that.
It's Disney shouldn't be worried about it, but they got those investors to think of. Won't someone think of the investors?
What if I go buy some stock in Disney then, and then I write a letter that I'm okay with making more?
Yeah. Listen,
How
I
much
own
stock do I
$4.
need? Yeah.
I bought
They're probably
$4
pretty
off of
expensive. Let's see.
well,
Let me tell you. Let me see. What is Disney trading at? 115.08 for a stock USD.
not too bad.
Today. It's up today actually 5% from yesterday. So yeah,
115 is
join our
not too bad.
Patreon. Then we'll buy some Disney stock, and then we can tell them.
We'll pass along our things during the board meetings.
That's right. Related though, Amazon is down 4%. Netflix is down 2%. Apple's down 1.5%. So, disclaimer. There's a disclaimer to this. What is the disclaimer? Let me see. All data and information provided as is, for informational purposes only, and not intended for trading purposes. I guess that's also our disclaimer. We're not financial experts.
No,
So
not at
there you
all.
go. We're not giving you any advice.
I can expertly tell you how to spend your money, but not make it.
No, we're good at that. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go do that right after this. All right.
Let's wrap it up and go spend some money.
Yeah, what a good show. Look at that. We made it almost 2 hours, which is what I was trying to get to. I knew that What If trailer would get us home.
Ta-da.
Let's see. Clay, it could end with all mutants making a cameo and entering portal style. Maybe. Oh, that'd be cool. Yeah, so good. So last time we had What If, what I did was I just made a review video for each one of them. So maybe I'll do that this time around again. We'll see. End of the year looks like it's gonna be busy at work, so we'll try to make it happen.
Always.
Cool. Jeff, did you have any recommendations? I didn't even write anything down this week. But if you have a recommendation,
If you get a chance, and we're going to cover this on the show in a future segment. So if you don't get a chance, dear watcher, it's okay. But I ran across a video, a trailer for something called Black Scorpion, which is an old Roger Corman television show, produced television show from like the early 2000s. It's a superhero show about a female superhero named Black Scorpion. It is awful looking, but it is one of those things that looks amazing because it's so awful looking. It's on YouTube. Go check it out. I'm going to make Daniel. Daniel is very afraid to watch this, but the other two fellas, Clay and Josh, are chomping at the bits. So once we get the full squad back together, we're going to make Daniel watch this and get his real-time reaction to Black Scorpion. So that let this be a teaser for a future episode. So please come back and watch.
I don't like that. All right. Well, I'm going to recommend Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Naruto crossover. We did it, guys. We got all the ninjas. If you're not familiar with Naruto, he's an anime ninja or manga ninja. So yeah, I mean, I'm so excited for this. I don't know the creative team. I don't know anything about this book other than Naruto and the Ninja Turtles are hanging out, and Jorge Jimenez did this beautiful cover. And there's gonna be there's more covers. So let's take a look.
Do you think we'll ever get? Well, that's too much. That's too much IP. I was like, I'd love to see where they do one, like a big mini, where they do kind of a crossover with all the people they've crossed over with.
Oh yeah,
that would be fun. But that's so much IP to get on board in the same thing.
Yeah, it may not work. Everybody may not be on board because you have to get pretty much everything in comics. I think has crossed over with the Turtles.
Yeah.
Ooh, if you thought I got too many covers this week for something, I mean, all right, this one I might not get. We'll see. That'll be a game time decision. Ramen and pizza.
I will say
this great.
So I don't know anything about Naruto. It all kind of falls in the Pokemon Naruto, whatever. It's in my head. Going back to the X-Men from this week, there was a funny bit in the book, and it's not a spoiler for anything, but Gambit has to go into battle, and he doesn't have any playing cards, so one of the kids gives him his Pokemon deck to throw
That's
around.
Hilarious. Damn, I hope he didn't give him like a first edition Charizard.
They talk about it in the I mean, it's not Pokemon, whatever. It's like the Marvel version of it, but like, I mean, they talk about how some of those cards are worth money. It's so funny.
Gail Simone's got her finger on the pulse of society.
Yeah, and it looks like one of those long card boxes, those like long cardboard. It's not like a pack or whatever. It's like one of those long. Yeah, like one of those. Yes.
Yeah,
just full of like Pokemon cards.
Who are you talking to? I have. You can't see it. I am surrounded by One Piece cards.
Listen, I've seen those videos.
So, I'm just I'm gonna get a lot of covers next week, Jeff. Just going
breaking the bank.
I'll do that. Oh, well, we need your patron support so I can keep buying comic books.
Yeah, come on, guys.
And they're all for the show.
Yeah, don't let this man down. Go to our Patreon.
If you want to read this, I put it up on our thing. Even if you don't know anything about Naruto, maybe this will be your journey into it. It's one of my favorite anime. So, I'll watch the Ron Corman stuff.
If I watch a Naruto,
yeah, if you watch a Naruto. All right, you guys give me. All right, here's the deal. Going forward, you guys give me weird shit to watch from whenever. And then I'll start introducing you guys to different anime. And pretty soon...
Well, it'll be a big crossover. Like, I'll know all about that soccer anime that everybody goes crazy
That's right. Oh, Blue Lock? I'm about to go watch the next episode right after this, too. So much to do on this Saturday. Jam-packed. All right. Let's get out of here. I'm tired, and I got to go pee. But I don't want to leave Jeff hanging, so... thanks everybody for watching. Let me go back through the comments. Of course, Clay couldn't be here, but he was in the comments. Canadian Survivalist Promiscuous Time Traveler, Leonard Kim. Thank you guys for watching live and commenting. I usually add time codes to this after the show, so make sure to go back so you can jump in and out wherever you want. And I'll probably break up a few of these segments into videos on their own this next week, which was my plan all along, which is why I plan to do so many of these little things. It just kind of worked out. So, all right, next week, depending on whether Josh is here or not, we might talk Penguin or Agatha all along. I don't know. We might do another tier. It's about to be December very quickly, so we'll start getting into the Christmas spirit. This. I think we should probably do. All right, Jeff. Here's your assignment. We need you to find a easy to watch Hallmark Christmas movie that we could just talk about for the show.
Oh my god! All right.
So think about it though. Like bring the goods, or maybe bring a few choices. I'm sure Clay will have some input. I think he's also very adamant about watching a lot of that stuff. And yeah, maybe that'll be our oh man, if that's our most watched episode, we are pivoting hard. So
I'm so excited about this. All right.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, thanks for watching, everyone. Let me find
Thanks,
the
everybody.
outro. Here it is. See you guys later. Bye.
The most important thing in life will always be
Hell, Bebo.
Little loves you.
Simon Center, get the fuck out.